it's your girl, Evie. We're going to be talking about Law and Order Organized Crime today. Season 1, Episode 5, I Got This Right. Okay, recap. We see a young man who's had his hand crushed by the police. Remember him last week? The nephew of Captain Bell's wife? Yeah. Well, she's going to be filing a lawsuit. And, Ayanna, of course, might have to testify in regards to that. We see that Elliot is still hunting his wife's killer. And we find out about Angela placing a hit on his wife. Oh my gosh, so much. So let's go ahead and unpack it. We're going to be covering it, and we're going to learn how did it start, what happened, why and who did it, and how did it end. Well, how did it start? We see a church. Hold on, y'all. I got some hair in my face. I hate that. We see a church, and Elliot there with his kids. He's looking for Jesus at this moment because he is really upset. And I laugh because we get really upset like that, and we rely on the Lord to get us through. But sometimes we let this get the best of us. You know what I'm saying? And vengeance is the Lord's. That's what it says. But sometimes you be wanting to put hands on people, okay? Well, we see him in church with his kids. The lesson is about not taking vengeance into his own hands. Isn't that something? And he's Catholic. We see that, and it ends and he leaves. Well, we see Angela at a hotel, and obviously she's getting prepped and ready for Elliot. Elliot knocks on the door, and she says, well, hello. And he looks at her, and he says, arrest her, cuff her. So we see her getting arrested. He reads her rights, and she says she understands the rights. So that's how it started. Well, what happened? Elliot meets up with Isaac in the alley, and he tells him that Wheatley is kicking up his business a notch because he's got a new supplier that he's going to be working with. Well, a new buyer that he's going to be working with in regards to providing vaccines to third world countries. He's going to be charging them a whole lot of money because, as we know, third world countries don't have first dibs on the vaccine. How terrible. Everybody should be given the amount that they need in this world for everybody to be cured. Well, not cured, but at least have a vaccine against COVID-19. But let's go on. Let's stay focused. Now, Richie, his son, is saying, Dad, when we walk up in here, let me take care of this if, Joey says something to me. And Richard's like, no, I already got this. Pay attention. So his daughter Dana is in charge of all the changes that are going to be made. So he introduces her to Joey and all the other people that she's going to be working with. And Richard is working with these guys about the vaccine. And he lets them know that people are desperate to get this and they're going to make billions, right? So Angela wants to talk to Elliot because remember, she's locked up. He refuses to talk to her. He briefs the team to what Richard is going to be doing and that they're going to go ahead and bust him. They're going to supply a new buyer for him. They're going to get the old buyer out that he's particularly going with right now, and they're going to replace him with someone on their side. So he's going to be replaced. And Angela then wants to talk to her children. But Captain Bell's like, they got your cell phone number. They can leave you a message. Pretty much. No. So why? And who did it? Well, Elliot asked her why. Eventually, he does want to talk to her. Richard told her that her son was being targeted by Elliot Stabler. That Elliot Stabler was the one who killed her son. She believed the whole time that Elliot was the one that killed her son. And she did it because of her son. She wanted him, Elliot, that is, to suffer. She wanted him to suffer like she was suffering. She starts to cry. He reassures her about the moment that they met, and she thought that he murdered her son. He said, remember, I told you that I would help you find out who killed Rafiq, your son. And Elliot said, I'm going to tell you who killed your son. He got caught by Richard. He was stepping on purple magic, making some of it for his own sake, selling it, dipping into the money. And Richard took him out, put a bullet in between his eyes. And she starts to cry. Well, Captain Bell's wife, like I told you, is filing a lawsuit against the NYPD for her nephew because they broke his hand. And now he's got permanent nerve damage. And Elliot tells her, well, I'm sorry, what happened to your nephew? And she says, it didn't happen to him. It was done to him. And I really liked what she said, because it didn't happen to him. He didn't just happen to walk into that. You know what I'm saying? They mistaked him for someone else, but they didn't ask. They just started breaking his hand. They didn't need to do that. They could have restrained him and took him into the custody of the police without breaking his hand. That was just nasty and uncalled for. So I hope they get what they got coming to them. Now, we see Angela has a visitor. It's her lawyer. You know, this guy named Ellsworth Lee. You know, she talks to him about wanting to talk to Elliot before she leaves jail, because she doesn't want to get out until she talks to Elliot. She tells Elliot that, I want to give you this information because I want to get Richard. And this Lee guy says, okay, she'll talk to you if you agree to this particular agreement. And if her information is useful, you can't use it against her. Well, they haven't agreed to anything. And then she says, well, his ego. And they're like, whose ego? She's like, Richard. If you want to get to my ex-husband, I know how to do it. And it's through his ego. So go ahead and get, you know, like this Iliad thing, which is a mathematical, geometrical stone of some type that he modeled his first company's name after. Well, we see that Dana's looking for a bug. She's sweeping the house because Richard has told her, sweep the house. Because after they found that one through Isaac, he wants to know, are there any more? And she tells the people that are sweeping the house, if you find it, don't unplug it. Leave it there. We want to leave it there. We don't want to let them know that we know. Well, they arrest the guy that Richard wants to set up the buyer through so they can put in their own. Remember I said that? Yeah. Well, it works because they sent a message by Joey to Richard about the new buyer, Mr. Santano. Yes. And Richard tells them to call it off because he's suspicious. You know, this guy is on his money. He's suspicious about everything. But then Joey hands him a gift from Santano. It's this Iliad thing. And that really impresses him. So he says, okay, I'll meet with him. Well, Richard wants to meet Elliot for coffee. He calls him on his cell phone. And he's like, well, how did you get this number? It's Richard, okay? So they meet at the coffee shop, and he tells Elliot, look, you know, I really like Angela. Even though she's my ex-wife, I really need you to stay away from her. Whatever she's going to tell you is lies because she's still in love with me. And he says, but I'm telling you, stay away from her. Once again. And he says that he hasn't heard from Angela. Well, we know why. She's in jail. But prior to her being in jail, she wasn't taking any of his calls in regards to his behavior. So Elliot said, well, that's what you get for having a temper tantrum. You know, this whole, you know, shutdown you were having. So Angela wants them to help. She wants to help catch Richard. And that's great. Richard told Elliot to stay away from my wife. And Elliot says, you mean ex-wife? And he leaves without even drinking his coffee. So how does it end? Elliot wants to catch Richard. He also is very angry at Angela, and for good reason. She killed Kathy, his wife, the mother of his children. Richard talks to Dana, and we see Gina and Richie outside. They're target practicing. She's shooting, he's shooting. Now, she's acting like she can't shoot. We all know that she's a cop and that she can. But she's doing that so she can fit in and blend into the family so she can get information on Richard. Well, I think she's kind of falling for Richie, and Richie's definitely falling for her. Now, what they find out from Dana is that they have Gina on video planting the bug. I knew that was going to happen. I know she was going to get caught. Like, this man is suspicious of his kids. Why wouldn't he be suspicious of you? You're a stranger. They tell Richie that Gina's a rat, that she's a cop, she planted a bug, and now Richard wants Richie, his son, to kill her. Richie says, I don't want to do that. I don't believe you. So they show him the video, and now he's embarrassed, and he doesn't want to kill her, but he has to kill her. Yeah, it's like that. So he says, Richard says to Richie, his son, take her out of town to our vacation home and get it done. And he says, no, Dad, I don't want to do it. He says, well, do you want Dana to do it? Your sister? Because she always does it. He says, no, I'll do it. So Gina knows something's up because she's on the way out of town with Richie. And Richie's kind of acting kind of stank, at this point. Because how do you hide the fact that you know you're betrayed to someone you love? If someone you love or really, really like has betrayed you, how are you supposed to act all booed up when you know they've betrayed you, So I understand his reluctance to act happy. So little does she know, he's going to kill her. They get out to a remote place to look at a lighthouse because Gina says, can we look at this lighthouse on the way out there? I've always wanted to see it. So it's at night. They're walking through this park. She's like, well, I don't even want to see the lighthouse anymore. Let's go. And he's like, no, I want to show you something. This is where I used to play. I used to ride my bike. I built the fort right over there. Why don't you go ahead and check it out? So now she's scared and she changes her mind. But Richie tells her to go ahead and look in the bushes, and she walks over there, and he pulls a gun out on her and tells her he knows everything. And she says, well, I was just doing my job. I've been undercover since I was 21, but I really do love you. It was business, but now I got feelings for you. Well, Isaac shows up to do the deed because he doesn't think that Richie can do it. And probably his father didn't either. So now Gina has taken the gun from Richie, and she has the gun on him now because she walked up on him and he didn't shoot her immediately. Well, as soon as Isaac pops in and she's startled, he wrestles the gun back from Gina and knocks her to the ground. And she says, but I was just doing my job. Please don't do this. And Richie says, you talked about my dad. You did this to us. I trusted you. I loved you. I really, really liked you. And he shoots her. He shoots her once. And then he looks at her and he shoots her again. Now, Isaac says he's going to clean it all up. And I feel bad because now Gina's dead. At least it looks like she was, because she was bleeding out a lot all over the ground. And I know Isaac is trying to fit back in with Richard. So he's going to do anything he can, to do that. I don't know if he's going to be able to get Gina to, the hospital before she dies. But we do see Richie walking off in the distance. So I don't think that Isaac is going to do that. I think he's just going to chalk her up as a loss. Well, we see Elliot and his guy in the helicopter, Serrano, the one that's going to take the place of Richard's other guy, the one that sent Joey the gift to give to Richard to convince him that he was worthy of his time. But before all that, Isaac congratulates Richie for doing a job well done. He didn't think he had it in him. And honestly, I didn't think that he did either. But I wasn't surprised to know that Gina got caught. I was surprised they didn't get her out of there on time. I mean, the moment that Richard showed up at her apartment unannounced, I would have got her out. I would have got her out because it was dangerous. It always was a dangerous mission. But when he invaded her privacy at her own home, he hunted her down to that point, had her followed. Yeah, they should have pulled her out. Do you think they should have got her out? I mean, Gina was a good girl, but now she's gone. So we think. I don't know. What do you think? Leave a comment below. Let me know. Your girl wants to know. Please give me a like if you like the content from today. I do cover Law and Order Organized Crime. I do cover Law and Order SVU each and every time. I'll be bringing it to you to explain to you what happened on this week's episode. Please go ahead and, like I said, give me a like. Please subscribe. Be part of the Law and Order Organized Crime team. And I'll go ahead and see you guys in my next video. Go ahead and carry on. I love you. Bye-bye.